All right, so this is the last session for lesson 32. And for this lesson, we're just really going to go over everything we've learned so far with the previous sessions and just review and make sure that everything's understood that we've gone over. So we'll start with a warm-up and then move on to some of our examples. For this warm-up, it needs us to plot the following points, and these are the vertices of a rectangle. Now, a vertex is where two lines will come together on a shape, and we'll plot these points here on the next slide. Once we do plot the points, we will need to find the perimeter of this, and I'll show you how to do that as well. So the first thing we do is plot our 4 points, and the first point is A, which is at 4, 6. It means you go over 4 and up 6. And you put the letter next to your point so you keep track of which is which. B is 12, 6. C is 12, 2. And D is 4, 2. And just connect all of these points together. And it is a rectangle. Rectangle, remember, is a polygon, which means it has all straight sides. It's a quadrilateral, which means it has 4 of them. Their opposite sides are parallel, and it has 4 right angles. So we need to figure out the perimeter of this rectangle. Perimeter is just the measurement of the outside of a shape. So for the outside from A to B, I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So if that's 8, we know that C and D is also 8. On the side, A to D is 4, which means B and C is 4. So we could add all these up. 8 plus 8 plus 4 plus 4 gives us 24. Or you can always do 2 times 8 plus 2 times 4. That gives us 16 plus 8, and that gives us 24. And we'll call this 24 units because it did not give us a specific measurement as far as what the lengths are here. So we just use the term units. So that's a nice review of not only geometry, but our coordinate pairs and all of that. So please open up to page 675. We'll skip that first one because that's already been answered for us, and let's go right to 1. So we want to plot the points 4, 4, 8, 4, 3, 1, and 7, 1 in the coordinate plane. So let's do that before we read any further into the question. So we have 4, 4. We have 8, 4. We have 3, 1. And 7, 1. It's got all of our points there. And the next step is label the endpoints of one segment AB, because we want to draw 2 parallel horizontal line segments. And what we could do is just connect those top 2, A and B, and this is C and D. They're parallel because they have the same distance between them, and they're both horizontal. What's the distance between points A and point B? A to B equals 1, 2, 3, 4 units. C and D is 1, 2, 3, 4 units as well. Okay, go ahead and turn the page. I'm looking to do all of these examples just so you know. Number 2, what's the area of rectangle EFGH? So we have EFGH here. Now, if you look in the upper right-hand corner of the page, it shows you the formula for finding area. A equals length times width. So since we're multiplying, the order doesn't matter. So this could be the length between E and H, that could be 3. And the width could be considered GH, which is 4. So let's do 3 times 4. And it gives us 12 square units, because when we're talking about area, we want all of that. Another technique you could have done is counted up all of the red squares here, because the area is the distance, everything inside of the shape. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. You could have just counted. All right, let's move on to 3. Mr. Palmer uses a coordinate plane to design his bulletin board. He moves rules 2 units right and 3 units down. So here's rules. I use a different color for that. He'll move 2 to the right, and then he'll move 3 down till he's at this point right here. And that point is 5, 3, 5, 3. It says, what ordered pair represents the new location? Well, we just wrote that on our coordinate plane. Now, I like this question down here, this little bonus question. Maya chose C, which is 1, 3. So let's see what 1, 3 looks like on here. So that point 1, 3 is right there. And you probably recognize that Maya went 2 units left instead of right. So the direction said move to the right. So again, just one misdirection can change your entire answer. But doing questions that show a wrong answer is also a good way to see the thinking of how someone made the error and kind of helps strengthen the way that we do the regular way. Let's look at the next page. Number 4, the coordinate plane shows a relationship between the amount of water in the bathtub and the amount of time the faucet's been turned on. What do the coordinates on the point 3, 6 represent in this situation? So here's 3 and 6. What that represents, that point right there, is that after 3 minutes, 6 gallons of water was in the tub. Here we go. Now, we're going to come back to this for the next question. Unfortunately, I have to erase that. Use a coordinate plane for problem 4. How many minutes must the faucet be turned on for there to be 8 gallons of water? So I've got 8 gallons here. And what I want to do is show where this kind of intersects with one of the minutes. And you want to follow the same pattern. So at that point right there, whoops, totally just I can move that over like there. What we found here was at 4 minutes, we've got the 8 gallons. Because again, if you follow the pattern, it goes right through that point right there. So let's go back. Yep, after 8 minutes is when we get to 4 gallons. Oops, 2 oopses in a row. All right, 4 minutes. Look at triangle ABC. Which direction describes moving from point C to point B? Using a different color here, I can go from C by going up 2 and over 4. So it's up 2, over 4. And the over to the left is represented with D. Now, your IXL today will talk a lot about shifting. So this lesson's great as far as helping you recognize how points can shift on a coordinate plane. Part A, draw a rectangle in the coordinate plane below with one vertex at the origin and an area of 20 square units. So for 1, we know 1 point will be here at 0, 0. That's our origin. But we've got a couple different options as far as the area. The area can equal 20. And there's some combinations we can use. And I'm just going to select 1 for time purposes. I know I can get 20 if I multiply 5 times 4. I also know I can get 20 if I do 10 times 2, and I can get a rectangle from that. But I'm just going to go with this one. the 5 and the 4. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go up 4 units. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then I'm going to go over 5 units. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then I'll get these spots for my rectangle. And it wants to label them R, S, T, and U. R is our origin. That's the one we knew right away. S is going to be 0 because it didn't shift over to the right at all, but it went up 4. T is going to be shift over 5 and go up 4. And U is going to shift over 5, but it's going to lay flat. It's not going to go up at all, so it's 5, 0. And part C, how do you know what the area of the rectangle is in 20 square units? Because I know 5 times 4 equals 20 square units. And again, when you're using graph paper or have a graph at your disposal, you can just count up all of the squares on the inside of a shape. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. That's 20 square units for that one. And let's look at 8. The coordinate plane shows a relationship between the number of bikes Harry repairs and the number of days he works in the bike shop. Days worked, that's our X. Bikes repaired is our Y. And these points on here show their relationship. Describe 2 things you know from looking at points on the graph. Well, let's start with day 1. If he works 1 day, he can repair 5 bikes. So he can repair 10 bikes in 1 day. You can also look at it backwards in the sense where, let's see how many days he has to work to get 50 bikes done. So 50 bikes can be done in 5 days. So in 5 days, he can repair 50 bikes. So there's a lot of ways you can interpret or make words and sentences out of what you see here as these points and data and everything there. And that's a good skill to have, be able to kind of share that. So your homework for today is going to be T8, follow directions on a coordinate plane. And you only have to go up to 70% for that. If you have any questions or need some help, just let me know.